Hello, and welcome back to the Coop'd podcast. It is your host, Josiah, and we are back, we are here, and we are queer. Well, I'm gay. I don't know about everybody who is watching, but I would like to hope that the people who are watching this are queer in some sense or form. But for today's episode, I kind of wanted to dive into something deep. If you watched my last episode, I did talk about mental health a little bit and, coming up with excuses for coming out of work. And I thought that was, something that was cute and fun. And then, I got to thinking and I didn't even put two and two together about how I said that it was Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, but I didn't really talk about it or actually go and dive into it, especially as a gay black man. I feel as though that I should have said something about Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. So I kind of wanted to start the first half of this episode talking about men's mental health and just talking about the importance of having someone to speak to. As a man, I feel as though that, we are taught to have to bottle things up inside and to have a hard exterior. And, for heterosexual men, they are supposed to be like those strong providers for their families and the ones who are supposed to not really show emotion. And I feel as though that I wanted to come on here and kind of say that it is okay to express yourself and to show emotion and to reach out to anybody if you need help. I feel as though that I find a lot of my straight friends actually reaching out to me when it comes to certain things, whether or not it's relationship advice or they're just wanting to talk to me about certain things and just getting my idea on it. And I think that honestly, with the friends that I have, I've come a long way with where I once was with the friends that I had with being of different backgrounds and sexual preferences and that nature. And I feel as though that it's so important for men to find people and to speak out and to reach out to anybody if they need help. I was, reading an article the other day and it was talking about how Barack Obama said that, which was, for him to say this after all the criticism that he's received based on people saying that he's homosexual and whatnot. But Barack Obama made a statement saying that it's crucial for men nowadays, especially young men nowadays, to have friends who are part of the LGBTQIA plus community because it offers them such a different perspective on things, and to especially get that at a young age, because it helps foster your mind. And he was saying how he had a professor who was gay, and his professor would always challenge him in certain ways and challenge his mindset when it came to certain things. And I find that so very important. For me, I can say personally, oh my God, my my mouth is getting dry. Give me a sec. This is honestly, I wouldn't say it's a very touchy topic. I told myself that I was not going to cry this episode, so I want to have fun. And I also can't cry 4 episodes in. Like, you guys are going to be like, what the fuck is wrong with him? But, I can say from my own personal experience that oh my God, my voice is cracking, that I would say I would experience bullying in some way, shape, or form at many stages of my life. Middle school, not a little bit in high school. I wouldn't say too much. I would say that I definitely experienced bullying more towards the end of college, which honestly, there's no need to beat a dead horse on that one. And then just like, having to kind of like deal with it as a gay man. I feel as though that growing up I had friends, but like even then, like I didn't have gay friends to have those conversations with about, how I was feeling. And I was close with my siblings, but like I wasn't having conversations with my siblings about, how I felt. And because I always felt, for me, I was just like, this is just how I feel about men necessarily. I didn't think that there was anything wrong with me. But for me, like, I experienced so much. I don't consider myself to be a religious person now, but when I was younger, like, when I would experience things, like, I would like pray to the God that I did believe in back then. I'd be like, please, like, just make me normal enough for like people not to like bother me. Like, I didn't understand why, and I think that's what caused a lot of anxiety for me, and that I didn't necessarily have anyone to speak to about it. And even then, like, when I was younger, my mom got me a therapist, and like I would go to therapy, but like I wasn't necessarily like allowed to like tell anyone because like, back then, like even then, like people weren't supposed to talk about like their mental health issues like that. Like the other day I was talking to one of these guys in my gym. I mean, not in my gym, one of these guys in my building. And we were at the coffee station, and he was telling me about how he has ADD. And then one of the girls who was there was talking about how she thinks she has ADHD, and someone's like OCD. And then we were just talking, and I was like, he's like, it's more common that people have ADD and ADHD and it's undiagnosed now. And I said, I mean, it makes perfect sense because like back then they were like, you weren't allowed to have these issues and talk about these types of issues. And like, I read something about how, who was it? One of the Kennedys, like they thought she was crazy and she had a lobotomy. Like, you weren't allowed to have mental issues. And I mean, like, she was a woman, but even then, like, men were having to take all of these issues and pretend like they didn't have any. And so I feel as though that I just want all the men who are watching to know that it's okay to have issues, and it's okay to want to talk to somebody about these issues. And I think, that's what this podcast is for. Like, I want to be able to show that it's okay to talk about the issues that you may have cooped up in your head, and it's okay to want to seek help from somebody. So I'm going to link some part of like a helpline or something on here. So I'll probably do it at the end or somewhere in the middle. But yeah, please, if you know anybody or you yourself are experiencing things, reach out to somebody and get help, because mental health is a real thing. I was joking on TikTok. Like I told you guys that I've been putting a lot more of my energy into TikTok. And like I was joking on TikTok about how I was like, oh my God, haven't taken my meds in like 3 days. And like, which is like true. And, that's something that I shouldn't do. But I feel as though that even in doing that, like my creativity has been like through the charts when posting on TikTok, and I've been getting so much engagement, but like also at the same time, like that's not okay. And that messes with, my head. And like, is that something that I should be doing? I should be, trying to take my, my anxiety medication consistently, regularly. And, sometimes I forget, and I've been taking it for so long that, maybe I shouldn't be forgetting, but life happens and life gets at you. So please, if you have issues, you can send me a DM at the Coop'd podcast. I'll link the phone number and the website for anybody if they want to get help. And I'm not sorry, but I hope that this didn't get too deep, too deep. And thank you for listening to this spiel. And we're going to get into the next part of the Coop'd podcast. Hello, guys, and welcome. So, thank you for listening to little parts, the first part of the podcast. And I wanted to get into a little bit of some fun now. I was I sometimes have such a problem with speaking. Sometimes I speak too fast that my words just get too jumbled. I also like to say that it's because I'm Canadian, which makes no sense because I'll try and say words sometimes and I'll be like, oh my God, like, I'm sorry, I'm Canadian. And it's not like Canadians don't speak English, but I think it's just like, I'm like, and I have my little Canadian words that slip into what I'm trying to say, and or my little. I wouldn't say. I think it has like a little dialect with some things that I'm saying, but nonetheless, we are here to have some fun. And I told you guys last episode that I wanted to get into a new segment with you guys for the excuses for Mondays. And I'm like, I am just trying to just find something that is sticking, okay? Like, I thought that would be fun, but realistically, how would I even come up with excuses every Monday? I know. I've had actually many of my friends tell me that they're like, I want to come on the podcast. I want to come on the podcast. But I'm like, you guys want to come on the podcast, but you need to engage more. I can't have people on here before I like establish a sense of what the podcast is. So I'm not going to I don't have any excuses for you guys to call out of work on Monday because I just think honestly that was janky. Like it was fun in theory, but kind of janky. So I'm going to tell you guys a story about one time where I should have called out of work. So this is when I lived in Boston. And I would say this is probably 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, okay? It's when I first finished grad school and I was working as a personal assistant, okay? And I think this was probably a month in, 2 months into me working as a personal assistant. And I had to be at work at 7:30. And back then, those were the days where like I would go out until 4 a.m. just like partying and like running through the streets and doing God knows what. And then wake up and go to work at 7:30 a.m. and do a whole day of being a personal assistant, come home, walk my dog, go to the gym and like do the same thing again and again. And I probably did that like 3 or 4 times a week, which now looking back at it was insane behavior, but honestly so much fun because it leads to stories like this. 2 months into me being a personal assistant, I feel like every time I'm on here, I'm saying that I'm talking to somebody, but I am a serial situation shipper. Okay, like I'm the kind of person where I don't want to be hooking up with a whole bunch of people. I just rather have one person and kind of just like try and develop a relationship with that person. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Then I give myself like 2 months off and then I try and find someone else with to try and establish a relationship with, and that doesn't work. And then I try and move on. You get it? I'm a serial situation shipper. So one time when I was doing the personal assistant, I was seeing this one kid, and this was when I would do like my little like, ooh, let me change my vibe based off of who situation shipping with at the moment. So this kid was like, he played the violin, but like rock violin, electric violin, I don't know. But he loved like music, and we would go to concerts and like go out and party all night long. And so one night we went to, I think we went to Blend, which is a bar in Boston. And then he was like, I'm going to have an after party at my place. Like, let's go. So I was like, okay. So then me, and there was like, I would say like maybe like 20, 25 other people in his house, in his apartment, which is honestly, it's insane to even do that in Boston because they call the cops on you for anything. Your neighbors will call the cops on you for anything. But I was there at the party, at the after party, and I got a text from like this guy that I had like the biggest crush on, serial situation shipper in a situationship seeing someone kind of thing, gets a text message from Hot Man to come hang out at 3 a.m. Well, I left that party so fast and went to go hang out with Mr. Hot Man. Because I was also like, oh, he lives like down the street from my apartment. So like this is just me getting closer to my house, to my apartment, instead of just staying at the one guy that I was seeing his house. So Ubered from there to Hot Man, right? So I ended up spending the night, but the problem was is that I actually got way more intoxicated than I thought I did. And that's my fault because I like to not eat before I go out. And then I have this thing where all of the alcohol will hit me at once. But I'm like, oh yeah, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. Because I am fine. And then it all just like, all at once, like hits me. So I kind of passed out at Hot Man's house. And mind you, you guys, I'm supposed to be at work at 7:30 a.m. the next day. I woke up at 7:45 a.m. When I tell you, I was literally like, oh my God. I was like, I am screwed. I am screwed. How do I get out of this? I look at my phone. My boss has called me. He called me like 6 times. He's texted me, "Where are you?" One of the girls who worked there was calling me and texting me. She's like, "Where are you?" He's pissed. Everyone's looking for you. And I was just like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? How do I get out of this? I've only been working here for 2 months. I'm a personal assistant. It's 7:45. I'm supposed to be at work at 7:30. I work 35 minutes away from where I live. I'm 5-10 minutes away from my house. I still need to go home, take a shower, walk my dog, and then get to work. When I tell you, I don't even think I showered. I came home, walked my dog, fed her, and then I texted my boss. I didn't even call him. I texted him. And I don't really like to lie because if I lie, take the lie to the bank. And so I had texted him and I said, oh my God, I am so, 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 so sorry. My car was towed. So I used to live in Southie in Boston, and they would tow cars all the time for street parking, for street cleaning. So I said, oh my God, my car was towed, and my phone was in my car. And then I said, I don't know where my car is. I literally said, I, I said, I woke, because I had a roommate at the time. I said, I woke my roommate up to call my phone and we couldn't find it. So then we checked the location and it said it was in my car. My car was towed and it said it was somewhere else. So I had to have my roommate at the time drive me to go get my car, but I didn't have money. So I had to call my parents to Zelle me money so I can get my car so I can come to work. That is what I told him. And he said, oh my God. He said, next time that happens, just text me. I can give you the money to get your car. Like, you don't have to go through all of that. And I said, how would I text you if my phone was in my car and it was towed? What bullshit lie was that? How did I pull that out of my butt so fast? I don't know. I truly don't know. But I will say he was pissed nonetheless. And then I did work there for like a year and a half. So that, I wouldn't say that could be an excuse as to why you can't go into work. But I wouldn't use that excuse. That's like a once in a lifetime excuse. Like you're definitely not using that again. That is for sure. And I also never saw Mr. Hot Guy again. And I talked to my situationship for I think another 2 weeks after that until I realized that he was actually psychotic. Um, Psychotic, lol. You know, men's mental health awareness podcast episode, and I'm talking about psychotic when I was giving psychotic energy, and that honestly, I think even then, like that's some good stuff. That's crazy work. Um, but when life gives you lemons, you gotta make lemonade. And lemonade was definitely needed to cure that hangover for when I got to work because it was bumping. It was bumping it for sure. But I am thinking about I really thought long and hard about this. I'm like transitioning just so you guys know, but I thought long and hard about this, okay? And based off of all of the things that I've been posting on TikTok, I see that a lot of my engagement that I get is when I post videos that are POV videos. And I have many POVs of many different stories. And honestly, a lot of my friends come to me for my point of view. So I was thinking that, and I think that this would be good because I can incorporate the different, all these different things. Okay. So, like, I can get you guys to ask me questions. We can be funny with it, but I can also just show up as I am. And so the POV section can either be Josiah, J Show, or Daddy J. It's just based off of the slew of questions that I choose for that day and how I am feeling. And I'm thinking that that might work. So, can you guys tell me if you guys would like that, if you think that would work, if you think it would be funny, if you think it would be helpful, if you think you would send me questions, if you think the back of your head would look ridiculous, if I can have your number, if I can get you to subscribe, can I get you? Can I get you? Can you like? Can you subscribe? And if you know, you know, and if you don't, you need to look it up. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope that I gave you guys what you needed. I kind of feel a little good about what I'm putting out there and what I've given. And so let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, comment, follow the Coop'd podcast on Instagram, on TikTok. You can follow me at Josiah on Instagram. And I love you guys. Thank you so, so, so much for tuning in. If you have any issues, like I said, reach out to me, reach out to a professional. I am not a professional. I just give good advice. And the one thing that I always tell my friends, is which I'm going to tell you guys, is don't do anything that I would do. Seriously, don't do anything that I would do because some of it is insane. But I love you guys. Thank you so much. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Bye.